2 days ago, YouTube took down my video citing violation of YouTube policy. I think they misunderstood the point I was trying to make in the video, not necessarily because I was making my point unclearly, although I'm often guilty of that, but perhaps because I was speaking in the Georgian language, so not in English, and the topic was quite sensitive. My point in the video was that all of the evidence I've seen so far in support of COVID conspiracy appears to be fake. So, for example, the evidence that vaccines are deliberately made to harm you or turn you into zombies or robots, that evidence seems to be entirely fabricated. So YouTube misunderstood that claim and they removed my video. My appeal was unsuccessful. I think that was rather unfortunate because that was probably the only video I've ever made that could be of any interest for anyone outside of my personal close circle. So this video could have really made a difference to someone in the Georgian community, maybe even a single person, but still would have made a difference to somebody, a person genuinely interested in making sense of all of the barrage of misinformation that we're bombarded with around COVID. The bigger picture here is that the country of Georgia, for at least the past 30 years, has been trying desperately to get out of from under the Soviet influence or post-Soviet umbrella and gravitate towards Western thought and Western ideas and Western values. That journey has been tremendously dangerous, full of personal and national tragedies, political upheavals and turmoils, wars, revolutions, just plain horror. But the benefits have also been significant. So, for example, we have a sizable part of Georgian population now who are more or less fluent with the English language and English Western ideas and thoughts. And obviously, the English language provides that bridge to those ideas and values through also, for example, through resources like YouTube and others. But we still have a very sizable part of community who are not fluent with English language or Western ideas. And if you're one of them, then you tend to pick up radio noise from the past, as it were. You tend to pick up voices from the Soviet propaganda machine, which appears to be alive and well somewhere and broadcasting. So even I pick up a lot of videos in Russian that circulate, all including on the YouTube. I think they most of them live on YouTube in Russian, and they promulgate various lies around COVID, for example. But if you search in Georgian, if you genuinely want to research some of these fake claims, and you genuinely want to make sense of all of this misinformation, you will find nothing. No videos or no information debunking these claims, but you will find a lot of videos, usually in Russian, which reinforce these lies and reinforce these false claims. Some of these videos may be of low quality, but some of them are of extremely high quality, very, very professionally made, and made by some of the very, very famous Russian journalists or celebrities. And that gives them a high level of credibility. And if you do not have access to some of the English language resources, then you have no way of cross-checking these claims or trying to verify them. And basically, you're on your own against that Russian propaganda machine. That is very, very dangerous because in Georgia we have suffered a lot of unnecessary deaths from these lies against these lies around COVID situation. This is why I believe that video would have made a difference, because it was in Georgian and it was making an attempt of debunk at least some of these lies. And I can actually, perhaps I should mention in a few words what the video was really about in slightly more detail. I chose basically two claims, one very, very easy to check and debunk, and one rather difficult to verify and debunk. Both of those claims came from a single video by a Russian guy called Nikita Mikhalkov. This is a celebrity, a very, very famous guy. He is currently head of Cinematographers Union in Russia, so probably, very likely, he may have Putin's phone number programmed in his cell phone. But he's a legend, really. He was a movie director, an actor, and author of some of the most successful movies in the Soviet Union and then later in Russia. So when he makes these claims and makes that film about COVID conspiracy, that kind of puts a seal of authenticity and the seal of truth, the stamp of quality on these claims. So I take a couple of his claims in the video, and I show how he's actually deliberately misrepresenting facts. The easy one, the claim that is easy to debunk, is when he's basically misrepresenting Bill Gates' speech in 2010, his famous "Innovating to Zero" speech on TED, where he's basically talking that we need to innovate towards zero carbon emissions in order to avoid climate change, etc. Nikita basically shows that footage of Bill Gates delivering this speech with a Russian voiceover of translation, or should I say mistranslation, a deliberate mistranslation of Bill Gates' words. So, for example, when Bill Gates is talking about reducing the amount of CO2 emission, the Russian translation says that Bill Gates wants to reduce the total amount of CO2 exhaled by humans. And obviously, the way to reduce that is by reducing the population. This is exactly the opposite of what Bill Gates is talking about in the video. He's talking about the increase of population from 6.8 billion to 9 billion. So nothing of the sort. Bill Gates ever mentions anything of the sort. But in the translation, basically his ideas are misrepresented. And I mean, this is very, very easy to debunk, obviously. You just look at the original, you give the correct translation, and pretty much job done. And also, I mean, in that same video, Nikita Mikhalkov, that Russian guy, he makes Bill Gates say something rather stupid as well. I mean, right in the next sentence, Bill Gates appears to say that Americans exhale 20 tons of carbon monoxide a year, while somebody from a poor country exhales less than 1 ton of carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide, CO2, per year. Now, obviously, this is absolutely stupid. In reality, Bill Gates is talking about emissions of CO2. He's talking about reducing the number of services, perhaps, or making services more energy efficient, or producing a unit of energy more efficiently without using that much CO2. All of this. But I mean, just imagine how stupid that claim sounds, that an average American exhales 20 times more carbon monoxide than somebody from a poor country. So if you misrepresent his ideas that he's talking about exhaled CO2 rather than total emission of CO2, then basically that turns into a really stupid claim. So it's kind of rather easy to debunk this one, because as soon as you give the correct translation and things start to make sense, anybody with any genuine person who tries to understand what's going on will instantly realize that, I mean, whatever Nikita Mikhalkov is claiming is just a lie. But there is another claim in that video which is significantly more difficult to debunk. And that claim is about the patent by Microsoft, a company by Bill Gates, obviously, And the claim is that, Nikita's claim is that patent, first of all, it has a biblical number of the beast on top of it. The number of the ID of the patent application has a number 060606 somewhere inside. And also that patent is allegedly about some sort of electrical device, a chip that is to be implanted into a human to turn that human into a zombie or a robot. So that device becomes a controlling organ, and then if the human obeys to the commands from that controlling organ, the human will receive cryptocurrency. Otherwise, the human will not receive cryptocurrency. So now, what would you do? How would you debunk that claim? I mean, say even if you have access to English language, if you can find that patent online, which you easily can, what you will see that it's very, very difficult to understand what the patent says. Well, firstly, it's written in a technical language, and it appears to really talk about these things. It mentions certain devices and sensors and cryptocurrency and some sort of tasks and monitoring humans' activity, performing these tasks and stuff like that. So it kind of appears to be actually true, whatever Nikita Mikhalkov is saying about this patent, because it's really difficult to understand what the patent is really about. Since, to be honest, I don't think patent writers necessarily have any incentive to make it really, really clear what they are patenting, because it's not their job to make that idea, popular or popularize a difficult idea. So Carl Sagan or Bill Bryson would not be the best patent writers, because you want to make your patent probably as clear, which is just enough to take the competitor to the court, but not, inspiring and easily accessible enough for anyone to kind of get any wrong ideas in their heads, right? So you go to that patent and you try to verify or check Nikita Mikhalkov's claims, excuse me, and what you will find is a very, very difficult to understand text that kind of appears to support what Nikita is saying. And that patent has confused some of the IT professionals as well, because I've spoken to IT professionals who cannot make heads or tails of this patent. So I did two things in the video. So first of all, I showed Nikita's claims, where he claims, stuff like the chip being inserted into the human and controlling organs and, controlling humans. And then I basically say that, I've read the entire patent and there is nothing of the sort in that text. There is no claim of any device being inserted inside a human or controlling humans' behavior. I even say that, the patent does talk about a whole lot of devices, all sorts of devices that Microsoft can imagine that could fall within that business model, because I think the patent is not a patent of a device, it's a patent of a business model. And Microsoft lists a whole number of devices that are currently wearable, so smart watches and smart glasses and cell phones, but also things that could become wearable in the future. So if, for example, fMRI device, which currently there is no way you can wear a device of that sort on your body, but maybe you could in the future, sometime in the future. So obviously Microsoft is interested in listing all of the possible devices so that the patent becomes as inclusive as possible, even future-proof. But one thing they never mention is anything that could be implanted or any sort of implanting any chips into anyone. And then I try to actually explain what they could probably really be patenting, my best guess, because obviously I'm not a patent, I'm not an expert in deciphering patents, and they're rather difficult to decipher, because Einstein's job prior to becoming a celebrity in science was trying to decipher patents. Basically, he was a patent officer and third level clerk, no less. And I think his applications to be promoted to a second level clerk have been denied a number of times. So it's not an easy job to understand the patent, and I give it my best shot. And I think it sounds rather plausible, and I show the business model that Microsoft could be aspiring to patent, which has nothing to do with COVID whatsoever, and or any sort of conspiracy. It's a rather a beneficial business model, and that's the point of my video. Um, and I don't know why this could have been misunderstood. Although, I mean, the only reason I can think of is that the video was in a foreign language, and that could have been the reason for misunderstanding that the point of the video. But that's what my experience has been so far. So an interesting side effect has been that at least for a few seconds I had a feeling that, unfamiliar feeling that, I'm being persecuted unjustly for spreading the truth. So that was an interesting feeling to experience. In reality, I'm sure that this was just a misunderstanding from YouTube. But this is a big company, and it's easy to fall between the cracks in the process of, they have to verify probably millions of videos, uh, for false claims. Although they, the kind of irony is that all of these fake claims that I see in Russian, they actually are on YouTube. And my claim to debunk those claims in Georgian was actually removed. That was I thought, ironic, but that's what has happened. And I'm gonna put this video now on YouTube and see what will happen to this video. So thank you very much.